Could Blade defeat the Volturi? Could he overthrow the vampire order that runs the Twilight universe? Or would he get his ass handed to him by Aaron the boys? Is it even a fair fight? Well, today, that's what we're gonna discuss. Because I don't think it's even remotely a fair fight. But I think it's a cool video idea, and I said to myself, why not compare characters from two different universes? Power scale be damned. Speaking of power scales, for this video, we won't be using the books or the comics to arrive at our conclusion. What we see in the movies is the only metric I'm going to use for this video. And you may be wondering why. And the answer is simple. Comics make everybody super powerful and burnt out. So it's hard to make a cross-universe video when that's one of the reference points. It's much easier to make a video like this using only movies. Plus the fact that I've not read all the Blade comics or all the Twilight books, it would be really disingenuous for me to use that as source material because I've not fully engaged with it. But I've watched both franchises multiple times to the point that I can recite their scripts word for word. Now, with all that being out the way, let's dive down this vampiric rabbit hole. Blade's story from the very onset is extremely tragic. A bloodsucker bit into his mom while she was pregnant with him. And apparently some of his toxins and enzymes made their way into baby Blade, which basically altered his DNA. So he's half human, half vampire. This also makes him a trueborn, and in the Blade universe, there's a very huge distinction. Vampires that get turned instead of birthed are looked at as second-class citizens. They don't really like them boys. Blade was raised in a brothel, and I'm almost positive that's where he learned the street smarts from. From there, he ran into an old bastard by the name of Whistler, who discovered what Baby Blade was. At first, he nearly killed him because he thought he was like the others. But then, he saw the difference in abilities and was like, oh yeah, the human side is definitely gonna need a weapon like this. So Blade's abilities, plus his deep-seated hatred to all things vampire-related, because he thought they killed his mom, they didn't actually, at least in the movies, plus Whistler's experience with all things vampire hunting-related, created the perfect super soldier to track and kill vampires. Now, let's talk about Blade's abilities. He's a vampire, but he doesn't quite suffer from the regular bullshit that most vampires fear, like the sun reducing them to human barbecue, which means Blade can fight in the day, no problem. Holy relics don't do jack shit to him, so if you hold up a cross in his face, he might just break your arms. You squirt holy water at him, and he might just drink it. And if you make the mistake of holding up garlic, then he might just use his sword to slice it up and put it on his pizza. And finally, silver doesn't work on him either. Like at all. You must be wondering why I excluded a wooden stake from the mix, and that's simply because I didn't see them use wooden stakes in Blade movies. As I said before, this battle will be strictly based on the movies and not what happens in their respective comics and books. Let's talk about his sensory skills. Blade is able to see far distances while also being able to see in the dark, considering the fact that he casually fights vampires in nightclubs with his shades on, like that's normal in the slightest. He's also a really good listener, something my girl wishes I was better at. We don't know the exact range in which he can pick up sounds, but in multiple fight scenes, he seems to pick up frequencies a lot quicker than Whistler and other humans he vamps with. Due to his condition, being a vampire, he's able to withstand hails of bullets, cuts, and hits. That's about most attacks humans and weaker vampires are able to muster up to throw at him. His regenerative powers are insane, bro. He can take stabs and full-blown gunshots. Due to his condition, being a vampire, he's able to withstand a hail of bullets, cuts, and hits. That's about most attacks humans and weaker vampires are able to throw at him. His regenerative powers are insane, bro. He can take stabs and full-blown gunshots, and he'll just shrug them off as if it were an ant bite. Let me stop, cause someone's beyond that bullshit. But in all seriousness, he's able to withstand a lot of attacks while replenishing himself, and that's vital. Blade is super strong. We see him throw vampires through glasses, kick them through walls, and just about everything under the sun that requires a shitload of elbow grease. This fact, added to the other fact that he's a skilled martial artist, makes him even more deadly. Like seriously, the guy is strong as hell, plus he quite literally knows how to accurately hit you through years of owning his fighting skills. As if being a bloodthirsty demon wasn't enough, you also got to deal with his tryhard. And then, on top of all of that, he's a master swordsman as well. Like the vampires literally cannot catch a break while dudes around. He wields a double-edged titanium blade with acid etching, which basically means he can slice and dice you both edges no problem. He's also skilled with a wide range of weaponry, like throwing knives, firearms, garlic bombs, silver blades, and my personal favorite, all powerful sunlight grenade. We don't quite know how fast Blade is if we're going off what happened in the movies, which is a damn shame because a feat of speed would have really got the audience going. But I get it. It was the late 90s, early 2000s, CGI was basically cow shit back then. However, we do see him dodging bullets and blades, no pun intended. And just based on that alone, I'd say he has superhuman reflexes. With all that being said, Blade is nearly a perfect vampire hunter. He's strong as hell, can operate a myriad of weapons, including a sword that can cut you from both sides. He has lightning fast reflexes, the type that will put your household orange cat's reflexes to shame. He's super durable, and if that's not enough, when he gets injured, he can heal himself. The usual things that give most vampires the ick, like sunlight, holy relics, holy water, garlic, and silver, don't do jack shit to him. Also, by virtue of him being a vampire, all his sensory skills like seeing, hearing, and smelling are heightened, which makes him the perfect apex predator in his universe. Now that I basically explained why Blade is a badass, allow me to dive into some Twilight lore, centering around who the Volturi are. The Volturi, the vampire bourgeoisie in the Twilight universe, are a group of pompous dickheads that collect vampires like Thanos collects Infinity Stones. You know what? Let me give them a proper introduction. The Volturi are an extremely powerful cabal in the Twilight universe. They are the closest thing to a governing body that the vamps in this universe have, and they are not afraid to exercise their dominance. The Volturi was started by 3 vampires, Arrow, Caius, and Marcus. Arrow is essentially the leader / spokesperson. He's the one that's always yapping about. He might be a Gemini, come to think of it. Regardless of his incessant rambling, he's incredibly powerful. Arrow's gift is called tactile telepathy. This essentially allows him to see every thought you've ever had with a single touch. Yes, that means he can literally see when you were jerking off in your parents' basement, for all the gooners out there. With an ability like that, he's able to gather information like secrets, plans, and hidden motives. He's able to manipulate people by knowing their darkest secrets. It helps him form connections because he knows a person intimately, and that helps him deeply when he's trying to rally troops or recruit new, powerful vampires. Next up is Marcus. Marcus doesn't want to be alive, like at all. Nonetheless, he's incredibly powerful. Marcus's ability is that he's able to see relationships between people and the strength of said relationships. As you can well imagine, knowing if people actually give a damn about each other is an incredible little gift to have. Being able to sense if people around you are descendants of Judas or not means that he can sense both internal and external threats to the vampire world order. An ability like this allows him to sense both internal and external threats to their vampire world order, which makes him invaluable. Now we have Caius, the cruel. He has no abilities, like at all, except for the usual vampire perks, but due to his incredible cruelty, ruthlessness, and obsessive quest for absolute power, he's incredibly valuable to the Volturi objective. He's a real stickler for order and punishing disobedient. Even when Arrow and Marcus just want to chill, you can always rely on Caius to be on that bullshit. If Arrow is the president, then Caius will be his highest ranking general, just because of how much he loves a good old-fashioned war sesh. He doesn't want peace, he wants problems, always. Now that we have the big three out of the way, let's talk about the other prominent members of the Volturi that we saw in the movies. And to kick that off, we got the twins, Jane and Alec, the most dangerous offensive duo in the Twilight universe. Jane is able to induce excruciating pain in others just with her thoughts. When she focuses on a target, she can cause them intense suffering with no physical contact, which means that she's a master at long-range combat. The most sinister part of Jane's power is that it's not physical, it's strictly psychological. Yes, you're not actually in pain. She's just able to trick your brain into thinking that your body is on fire. I would not want to pick a fight with somebody that can basically brain hump you. This makes her half of the crown jewel of the Volturi's offensive armory. Because I know for a fact, guys will see her coming and wave the white flag immediately. Now, let's talk about her brother, Alec. Alec's ability is that he's essentially able to create a sensory illusion that blocks all senses and perceptions of his target. He can basically deprive his targets of their ability to see, smell, taste, and hear, which effectively renders them blind and dumb to their surroundings. He basically turns you into a sitting duck, just waiting to be slaughtered by the gators. In the movies, it's seen as a shadowy mist that creeps on you, basically rendering you useless. The twins' combined abilities make it incredibly difficult for the enemies of the Volturi to take them on in any type of wide open area. And to be honest, even in small, confined spaces, you still don't stand a chance. But I think in wide open areas is where they really flex their muscles. Felix, the muscle. He's the warrior. Grows like 6'5", 300 pounds of pure vampire steel, which makes him a nightmare opponent to fight in a brawl. We see him quite literally toy with Edward, even though Edward probably hadn't had anything substantial to eat in ages. But nonetheless, Felix dealt with him like a piece of gum on his shoes. Also, despite his size, Felix is incredibly quick. Everyone in the show considers Edward as a lightning quick. Felix was able to outmaneuver him with very little effort. Having someone like Felix just shows the Volturi doesn't just possess psychological power, but they also have soldiers in their ranks who can kick your chest to your back, which is always needed when you're creating an all-powerful vampire secret society. Next on the list of powerful Volturi guards is Dimitri. He's one of their main trackers, and possibly the most powerful tracker in the show. He's able to trap targets over large distances once he has a whiff of their scent. This means that once them boys lock onto your scent, there's no continent you can go to, no sea that you can sail to escape the Volturi's wrath. This makes him another incredible talent in the Volturi's arsenal, and as such, it adds to their collective might. Finally, we got Heidi and Santiago, two lesser known Volturi members that got featured in the movie, but nonetheless part of the guard. Santiago is a regular vampire, but I'm assuming being a warrior in their ranks means that he's probably highly skilled in multiple fighting disciplines, which means that there's another guy that can punch your nose off your face. Then we have Heidi. She possesses a seductive allure type power, which allows her to get people to do what she wants, or to go where she wants them to go. She's basically the person in charge of getting the Volturi snacks, seeing as how people will willingly follow her to their own demise, all because she has sexy eyes. She's basically like the Volturi's lunch lady, well in the capacity that we saw in the show anyways. With all that being said, we see the Volturi having a wide range of vampires, capable of fighting multiple types of wars on multiple fronts. This makes them almost impenetrable in their own universe. How do they stand up to my man Blade? Well, let's find out. The battle. Could Blade actually take down the Volturi? The short answer is hell no. The long answer is still absolutely not, and let us explore why. Based on the trilogy, Blade is a lot slower and weaker than the average Twilight vampire. You see, vampires in Blade's universe may be stronger and faster than regular humans, but in the Blade trilogy, highly skilled human beings were able to track and kill multiples of them. This means that compared to the bloodsuckers in the Twilight universe, they're easy prey. The vampires in the Twilight universe can stop cars with one hand, punch boulders, fight 7-foot wolves, run faster than the human eye can comprehend, scale mountains, and on top of all of that, they have actual superpowers, like the ones we discussed earlier. None of the vampires in Blade's universe can do anything even remotely similar to what I just said. Well, none of the regular ones. So, Blade would be in for the shock of his life when he reaches for his sword and his arm is already broken before he can perceive what just happened. Another thing we need to remember is that none of Blade's usual gadgets like garlic bombs and solar flares are going to work on the Volturi because they don't suffer from the usual afflictions. Imagine Blade throwing one of those solar flares and the Volturi's vampire skin just start diamond dancing and blinds Blade. Now what? Never mind, I forgot, he's always in shades, but you get my point. He would be out of luck if he used any of his usual gadgets. Now let's say, for argument's sake, that he does indeed attack the Volturi. He'd first need to get through Felix, and that would be the mismatch of the ages. Felix is much bigger, faster, and way more cruel than Blade, so he would absolutely get his teeth kicked in by the giant vamp. And let's say, for argument's sake, again, that he is able to escape. He won't get far because Dimitri can literally smell him from a continent away. So either way, he's screwed. If he runs into the foot soldiers first, because all of them can whoop his ass, and one of them is extremely monstrous, and the other one can find you even if you hide out at the bottom of the ocean. What if he runs into Jade and Alec first? Alec wouldn't even need to use his powers because Jade would cripple him almost immediately. She loves inflicting pain. She revels in it. She would absolutely break Blade's back and then go about her day like nothing happened. And the saddest part is that Blade wouldn't even have any type of psychological counter. At least when it's Felix and Dimitri whooping his ass, he can heal back quickly. You can't really counter Jade or Alec's power unless you're a natural blocker, like Bella. And Blade is most certainly not Bella, so he would be shark food. No, A good question would be, why doesn't Blade just use the element of surprise on them? And that's a phenomenal question. The only problem is that one, the vampires in the Twilight universe have insane heightened senses, so they can hear and see things miles away. So Blade mounting a sneak attack would only end with his neck being snapped. The next thing is that the Volturi are a well-oiled, organized machine. Blade is used to killing bloodsuckers who just drink and party all night and sleep in the days. He's not used to guys like the Volturi who fashion themselves as an actual organization with rules, guidelines, and severe punishments for anyone who disobeys said rules and guidelines. With all that being said though, Blade is an excellent hunter who protects the world from bloodsuckers. But if he's our only hope against the Volturi, then we are done. We are finished. They would crucify him worse than they did Jesus. Come to think of it actually, they might not, you know. Arrow would probably take him as a pet, and the reason I say this is because he found Renesmee fascinating when he met her, a half human, half immortal. Born when her mother was still a human. Blade is exactly the same, his mother was still human when she had him. Arrow prides himself on collecting rare vampires. So the prospect of having someone as rare as Blade in his ranks somewhere would probably have Arrow giggling. In any case, Blade would lose 10 times out of 10 against the Volturi, and it wouldn't take a lot of effort on their part to dispose of him either. Well guys, there you have it. My opinion on if Blade could defeat the Volturi. What do you guys think? Am I talking out my ass, or is it the truth? Let me know in the comment section. And remember to please like and comment on this video, as it helps me grow this channel and this community. And remember to also subscribe and turn on our notice so you won't miss a single beat. Until next time, be safe and remember to be kind to each other. Goodbye.